Thank you very much. My name is Steve Lund, and I am Melissa's friend. I'd like to be your friend too. I'm so proud to be here today with Sandy, with Truman and Joe and Ryan and all of our New Skin colleagues, Elizabeth and others who are here from so far. Thank you all for coming so far to be here with us. I grew up in a small town of Northern California in the United States. They found this picture from my wife, apparently. I have to admit that my 5-year-old self would never have dreamed that someday I would have the chance to come to a place like this, to travel throughout the world and meet such wonderful people as you. And while I've been able to travel to amazing and diverse places over these 32 years, there is one thing that has been constant, and that is the goodness of the people and the potential of the people. We all hope for a better future. We all want peace. We all want prosperity. And we all want to help those who mean the most to us. But New Skin people, you, have a little something extra. You don't just want to improve the lives of others. You are constantly moved to action and continually being a force for good. And to me, this is the best and most disruptive thing about you. Now, disruptive may seem like an odd word to apply to people. In most instances, it's a decidedly negative thing. Like me, many of you have heard that word from a parent or a teacher who's told you to stop being so disruptive when you were talking in class or teasing a younger sibling. But disruption can also mean a good thing. When you disrupt, you interrupt an event or an activity or a process. You cause a fundamental shift in the way that things are being done. The very nature of whatever you have disrupted then has been changed. And that change is often a very positive thing. Take the way that we communicate, for example. Once upon a time, we had to use mail services to get information from one place or another. We would write a letter, and it would go off across the seas, and some months or years later, someone would receive an answer. With the advent of the telegraph, though, in 1837, those distances became somewhat irrelevant. Our communication cycle was disrupted. Someone in Singapore could send a Morse code message to someone in San Francisco or someone in Paris, and they would receive it almost instantaneously. The next major disruption that happened in communication was the invention of the telephone, a device that fundamentally changed the way that we communicate. Now, instead of decoding a series of dots and dashes, we could literally hear the voice of another person as if they were in the next room. Then came the mobile phone. You know, just 30 years ago when New Skin was an idea, nobody had the idea of a portable telephone that you could carry everywhere with you. Even when mobile telephones did arrive on the scene, they were only available to the wealthy at first, and they looked like a large white brick with an antenna on top. But disruptive thinkers had this idea that they could bring the power of instant communication right into the hands and pockets of everyone. If you have a mobile phone, all of you here, a mobile phone like this, would you pull it out and wave it like this? Everybody? All of you have mobile phones, don't you? That's the power of disruption right there. This world has changed because people were able to look past today and to tomorrow. Nobody in this room is going to send a telegram or wait for a telegram. You're simply going to push send, aren't you? Well, there's power in disruptive thinking. Together, we have disrupted and changed the personal care and the beauty industries and the business community in several ways. First, our product philosophy has been a disruptive one from the very beginning. In the early 1980s, personal care and beauty products were molded into a one-size-fits-all mentality. Nobody factored in your age or your skin type or your daily routine or your individualized needs. What's more, too often they were made with a few beneficial ingredients perhaps, but then with lots of other things that were at best benign, but at worst harmful to you. Many of the most popular products had been formulated decades earlier, but were still being used. But at New Skin, we believed that we could create products
with only the most efficacious ingredients and avoid those ingredients that were less than healthy. We were committed to evolving products as new ingredients were discovered. This was a disruptive way of thinking of the cosmetic industry. The legacy of this disruption continues today with age-locked products that focus on the sources of aging and that are personalized to your own personal characteristics. Secondly, our business model has been disrupted. One pattern of disruption that we see in the economies is when somebody discovers how to take a very expensive, exclusive product, only available to the wealthy, and make that product available to everyone. The first telephone was only available to people who could afford to have a wire run to their house, the very wealthy. But the cell phone put telephones into everyone's hands. When we go into the middle of the most desperately poor areas of Africa, we see children walking around with cell phones. The biggest obstacle to owning a business has always been capital. It took money to make money. Owning a business was mostly the privilege of the rich because no one else could afford the price of admission. But Nu Skin's business model disrupted those barriers. We have hundreds of thousands of sales leaders like you, who have been able to start their own businesses capable of generating vast wealth with very little capital at all. Anyone who chooses to pursue owning their own business can do so here with hard work, whether they began with money or not. A hugely disruptive innovation. One distinctive way that Nu Skin has been disruptive is in what has come to be known as our Force for Good culture. There's much suffering in the world. And when people see giant problems like children going hungry, most of us want to do something to help. But most people simply say a little prayer in their hearts, maybe donate a little bit of money, and then they go back to their lives. But not you, and not Nu Skin. We decided to move against hunger in Africa. We started the Nourish the Children initiative, this is a for-profit venture, promoting the sale of Vitameal and then facilitating the donation of this vitamin-rich product to hungry children. To bring down our costs and reach more people, we built a Vitameal factory in Malawi. In addition to providing meals to children, the factory created jobs. And for local farmers, it created opportunity to those who are providing ingredients for Vitameal. Your contributions of Vitameal are feeding about 100,000 children every day, including this day. Purchasing and donating Vitameal is easy. And I'm not sure everyone understands just how easy and how effective a part of a business that it can be. Your online order form looks something like this. When you place a Vitameal order and donate it, that purchase is fully commissionable, just like any other product that you would buy. Your downline purchases are commissionable. So it's a painlessly way to help. As you encourage your downline to participate in this life-saving activity, you're also building your organization. You're not taking anything away, you're only adding to it. But the real answer to African hunger isn't the shipping of food in from other places. Part of the solution is education. And so we together build a school unlike any other in the country of Malawi. You know this school is SEACHF, the School for Agriculture for Family Independence. The school is servicing 30 or 40 families every year, teaching them these principles. And yet, we're dealing with a nation of about 14 million people. So some might wonder how you're going to really make a difference with just 30 or 40 families at a time. Let's talk about that. Just like so many of you, we've had to start small in order to go big. Now we're beginning to see the difference that one school can make through something that you're all very familiar with. It's the power of networking. You see, once we teach these families the skills they need to be self-sufficient, they return to their home villages and towns and start to teach their relatives and their friends and their neighbors. They teach them these essential principles of self-reliance. Their skills and knowledge begin to go viral. Recently, government officials in Malawi, those that are charged with helping to teach families to be self-sufficient, have begun coming to our school, to SEACHF, to gain these same skills. We can't afford to put teachers in every village and every town in Malawi, but the government can afford that, and in fact they already are. They just don't know what to teach them. And so now those teachers, those agricultural extension agents, are coming to SEACHF, learning what we teach there, and then going out to the villages across the country and teaching them. This year, we trained only 35 families, but simultaneously through this government extension program, another 1,026 families were trained in the same principles. This is a scalable disruption, and people are beginning to take notice. I was in Malawi with my wife, Colleen, just a few weeks ago. The night we arrived, we had the dinner that we always have with the new distributors who are coming to see, and with the local staff. And I sat next to a man that I'd never met before. His name was Dr. Holger Craig. He's a very impressive guy. And as we spoke, I learned that he was the African Development Director for the World Bank, headquartered in New York, or he's headquartered in New York. His job is to find ways to help develop Africa to better help its people. So Dr. Cray was in Malawi on business, and he heard about our New Skin activities there. And he became intrigued and asked for some tours and ended up going out and seeing our facilities. He toured our school, and he toured several villages where we're making such a difference. So sitting there at dinner, I was anxious to tell him about how a group of salespeople in places like this were able to provide so much good to a place so far away. So we had a great conversation. Later we showed him how we're making charcoal out of corn stalks in order to save trees and deforestation. We do this by providing, the charcoal provides an alternative food supply, or a fuel supply for people. He was almost giddy about this innovation, where this problem exists all over the third world, and especially in Africa. And our brilliant people in Malawi have come up with a very impressive answer. He leaned to me at one point and said, "Steve, what is so impressive to me about your efforts is that they're holistic. You're not just teaching these people of Malawi one thing and then hoping for good results. You're taking them through the whole process of self-reliance. And you're teaching them self-sufficiency." And so you have found a way to leverage those teachings across Africa in a way that very few people have been able to do. They go back and they teach their neighbors, and those neighbors are going to teach their neighbors. I think, he said, that you may have discovered the best solution that I have yet seen to Africa's food problems. Well, he was right. We are disrupting the cycle of poverty in Malawi and replacing it with a cycle of hope. But this story doesn't end there. After our visit to Malawi, I received an email from Dr. Craig. He was so impressed by New Skin's efforts to help Malawi that he went back to New York, and that the World Bank decided to make a nomination for the Africa Food Prize, a very prestigious prize. The World Bank made one nomination this year to receive that prize. It was you.
Wow.
Now, we won't know for a couple of months whether we win this prize or not, and that doesn't really matter. We didn't come here for the prize. We came here to do some good. But we did just learn, just the day I left town, the day before yesterday, that as the World Food Prize Organization has been vetting these hundreds of thousands, I don't know how many applications that have come in, applications from NGOs from all over the world, from some of the largest organizations in the world. They went through those and they've placed us in as finalists. We are in the top 10 of all of the places. So whether we win or not, to be selected by the World Bank as their choice for the most disruptive, helpful innovators in bringing change to the food plight of Africa is a tremendous honor. So congratulations, you're winners. Now these stories I've been telling you so far have been about Malawi, but we're not only doing good there, we're also doing a lot of good in other places, including this place. Your efforts are making a difference right here in Southeast Asia in the lives of children who suffer from congenital heart disease. We've been hearing about this for some time, that it's obvious that you all recognize the amazing potential of every life. And through the Southeast Asia Children's Heart Fund, you've saved not just 8,000, but I'm hearing this morning, 8,300 lives. Now, a few minutes ago, thank you, you all stood up. Would you kind of stand up and look at how many people are in this room? Do you know how many are here? A lot fewer than 8,000. There's about 7,000 people here today. If we invited every child whose life you have saved into this room, there wouldn't be enough chairs. We'd have them standing in the parking lot too. Is that a tremendous thing? Congratulations. And that's only talking about the children. Think about their families. Those families who, faced with this horrible problem, parents wouldn't have given anything to save their children if they only had something left to give. Imagine your child might have been in need, or might be in need of a life-saving surgery, and you were unable to pay for it. Imagine how those people must feel about you. Now picture the future lives of your children, your efforts at home. How many lives will they impact? What brilliant ideas will they add to the world? Because of your generosity, because of your disruptive action, you've given these children and their families a chance. And in the end, that's really all any of us need, isn't it? Just a chance. Many of these children who suffer from congenital heart disease have uncertain futures, and they will live it each a day at a time. But with your contributions, not only have you given them a chance at life, but you've given them a future. So here are some of their stories of how you have created smiles, giving them a chance to have a better future. Let's watch this video.